Hi, everybody. Well, there's been a lot of thoughts and emotions this past week as I processed the death of my sister Jane last Saturday, and how to continually put it through a Dharma lens so that her death becomes a great teaching, which I think is probably the best gift I can give her in the end, is to really use her death to transform my mind, to generate all the qualities of an enlightened mind and just to progress along the path. So that's how I really wanted to see her death. So as I had said last Friday, I was hoping to be there to sort of help her transition and to bring my presence into the space. And although she was not conscious, I really feel that she was very much there. And it was so amazing that the moment that I walked in there in the ICU, just the way in which her body was looking and all with the oxygen mask, her eyes wide open looking at the ceiling. And I leaned towards her to tell her that I was there and to feel the attachment rise. To feel the chain, you know? Not now. You have a new granddaughter. We haven't done enough talking. We haven't done enough sharing. You're 66 years old. Why? You can't be doing this. I could feel this wave in my body, these thoughts starting to go. And it was like I was putting my mind in a fight. It was starting to fight the reality of the situation. And that it was pulling me out of the true relationship that I really wanted to have with her at that time. And it was so, and what really helped me was that for the past 2 years since she had had the last medical crisis, I have been using that hall in there and that cushion in there to rehearse what I was going to say, how I was going to be, and I was going to be strong, and I was going to be clear to the best of my ability, and I was going to really make sure that attachment didn't hijack this wonderful, my last connection with her, to be able to support her in that way. So through the course of a number of times during that last hour, because she died about an hour and 15 minutes after I got there, that attachment would come. I could feel the tears behind my eyes, and I'd just say, Semke, come back. Semke, come back. You're not here. You promised yourself, Semke, come back. And so before I left, and even last year, Venerable had given me some suggestions on how I could speak to her as she was laying there, and to really bring to the forefront her wonderful, compassionate heart, to really bring into this, Jane, you know, you've got a precious human life. The potential is so great for what you've given to the world. That she had helped empower and support people in so many ways, and that she had lived a meaningful life, and that we would be fine. To over and over again, to say we would be fine, let go. You know, take your compassionate heart with you. So what has happened this week since then? There's so many insights that are coming up for me. But this one keeps saying, talk about this, okay, talk about this. Is that I am more and more convinced, and Venerable has taught us this over and over again, that the state of the mind at the time of death is the most important thing for us to work with, to be ready for. There is no one that's going to be there to die with us. We do this alone. And so where our minds are is so important on what kind of rebirth we're going to have. Is it going to be a mind of virtue, or is it going to be a mind of fear and panic and clinging to this life? And what was very interesting about my sense of Jane, my relationship to her, and we both share this common struggle, is that in the past 2 years, especially when I would remind her of her wonderful qualities and the fact that she could contribute to the well-being of the world, and that she had, and to really rejoice in that, she would be very reticent about owning it. She'd almost want to dismiss it or minimize it. Yes, but. It was somehow that she thought that rejoicing would seal her fate, and meant that she somehow was surrendering the fight against death. Up until the very end, because she kept saying the day before she died, it's so hard, Semke, it's so hard. when I try to remind her of her good heart, to remind her of White Tara. It's so hard, it's so hard. It was almost like if she didn't see, she saw that somehow rejoicing in her good qualities and rejoicing for what she had given to the world was contradicting her wanting to live. There was like this fight going on, and that you couldn't surrender to let your mind be strong and clear and loving and rejoicing, because it meant that you were giving up, that you were finally saying, reality is happening. And that until that happens, there's this fight going on. And that's how I felt up until the day before she died. And likewise, during the course of our lives in relationship together, when either of us were down, she would, encourage me, help me to brighten my mind, and I would do the same thing for her. And both of us had this reticence, this inability to just let in the goodness of what Venerable was saying, and what Venerable Zichu was saying the other day, these wonderful qualities that the Dharma helps us to grow and to nourish, and that there's some disbelief, there's some dismissiveness about really owning that. And that her death made it very clear to me that unless I make a concerted effort to see my own goodness, my own Buddha potential, my own contribution, my refuge, my bodhicitta, my love of the Dharma, every day in my mind right now, that at the time of death, it's not going to happen. That if I want the results of a peaceful, calm mind that's clear and takes refuge, and I'm in my life going through small hurts and being pissed off at people and being despondent and jealous and unhappy and whining and complaining, those are discordant. They don't work. And so there was kind of this urgency now in my mind that says, you've got to make that kind of mind familiar. You far too easily space out. You far too easily leave the premises. You far too easily find fault with yourself and others. That is not the kind of mind, because when your body is letting go and those elements are dissolving and you're not in control, if I can't have a virtuous mind in this most beautiful environment with this wonderful community and my teacher and all of you, how the hell am I going to be able to keep it together when my body is leaving and my mind is having karmic appearances coming up left and right? How am I going to be able to do that? And that Jane showed me in her own way that the familiarity wasn't there sufficiently enough for her not to be afraid, not for her to grasp, not for her to hold on to dear life. And that when I walked into that room, it fed me. It fed my own attachment to the clinging of this life, to not wanting to let her go. And it's not about puffing ourselves up or having pride, to acknowledge our own goodness and hard work and growth. And to get going on it. We're on the downhill. I'm on the downhill slide of my Dharma life, friends. And I just, this is really propelled a kind of urgency. I don't want to die afraid that I've missed something, or I didn't do enough, or I didn't do it right, or please one more day to prove myself. It's a suffering mind, not just in life, but in death as well. And so what's the beauty of being a monastic and being in this community is that it gives us an opportunity every day to work on cultivating this mind of gratitude, this mind of rejoicing, this mind of refuge, to develop a familiarity so that even when you go to sleep at night, when you wake up in the morning, there's refuge, there's bodhicitta, there's the kindness of others, there's the emptiness of self. But until we get to the level of habituation, over and over again, I maybe do it once or twice a day. I'm supposed to do it 6 times. Sometimes I don't even do that. What I do is I space out and I reminisce and I proliferate and I whine and I complain and make a jury and a judge in my mind. At the time of death, guess what's going to come up? This is what the Buddha said. If you want the results, here are the causes. And monastic life is a golden opportunity to purify, to create merit, to dismantle old mental habits, to practice kindness, promote harmony, open our perspective, grow our virtuous qualities, no matter how small, no matter how big. Wherever we walk in the world, we walk in kindness. To remember, we're building up an inventory, we're building up a habituation, that we can have access to it too, becoming so familiar with it. Because I heard so many times in the course of Jane's life that she was a remarkable person with a remarkable life, and I'm not quite sure Jane knew that. I'm not quite sure she could take that in and own it and use it to really grow a strong and happy mind. There was always this sit down just for a little bit and then on to something else, on to something else, on to something else. So I want to use this time of loss and reflection to inspire my practice, think lovingly of her and her contribution to the peace of the world, and to fuel my practice of seeing my own and others' kindness and wisdom in very clear ways, and how they manifest, how they contribute, and to really encourage each other to do this as part of our daily practice, to just habituate to the mind of virtue. So when that we're dying, we have peace, we have gratitude, and not a fight. And so that's really one of the things that I saw so clearly standing there by the side of the bed looking at her, taking her last breath. So that's one of the beautiful teachings, and I'm hoping, there's a lot more going on, but right now it's like, get to work, okay? Create the causes for a mind of peace and clarity, and that means right now, choose your battles. Let the little stuff go. Forget it. Piddly stuff. Really use the rest of your life to think big, think gentle, think kind, think emptiness, think bodhicitta, think awakening. Don't think about, who didn't say hello to you. Come on, give it up.